Hey everybody. Um, Yesterday I did a stream about taking stuff out of StaffPad once I'm done with it. Like when I'm done writing like a big orchestral piece, like what do I do with it? And I sort of went through the process of how I get the audio out of, pulling the audio out of StaffPad, putting it into something like Logic, and sort of, doing a little rough mix and a little rough master, and what that sounds like and what my process is. I was originally just going to post that stream here at YouTube, just click export. But I thought that that wouldn't be super viewer friendly. There were some technical mistakes, and I made some mistakes in terms of switching, the screens and what was on stream. And I kept talking about, oh, I do this, and then I had it on the wrong monitor, so you couldn't really see it. So I thought I would just sort of re-record what I did with the finished stuff that I've got. So let's go through that. Hopefully, some of this is helpful if you work in StaffPad, or even if you don't. Hopefully, it's useful in terms of maybe there are some things you could learn from it. Uh, that's why I put things here, is that hopefully they can be helpful. So when you export something out of StaffPad, you can export, the MIDI, the score, you can even take the StaffPad file, which is this STF file that I've got right here, and you could transfer it to another machine. So either you can use Dropbox, or what I just use AirDrop. I just drop it over to my Mac, and what I get out of that is, like I said, a MIDI file, etc. And one of the things you can do is you can export stems. So what I have here is uh, all of the individual instruments parts um, exported by themselves. So just the violin part. Okay. And you get all of them for all the instruments in your template, including ones that don't have any music on them. I should note. So once you've got that, what I do is the first thing I do is I import the MIDI into Logic. So up here, what I have is all of those tracks as MIDI tracks. I've just got them in a folder stack. You can always create one of these. You just right click and say create. On the tracks, you select the tracks you want in the folder. You just right click. You say, hey, make a folder stack. So I've got all that MIDI in here, and that's just to help me keep everything synced up. Because when I put all the audio in, I want to make sure that everything is right on beat, everything's right together with everything else. So it gives you kind of a nice ground truth. What I do is I leave something like this open, where you can see all of the MIDI events in piano roll. Also, you can make YouTube videos, which I will do soon. Um, Showcasing the piece, and this just helps you make sure that everything is synced up. So once I've got that in, I just import I drag the audio files into a random audio track, say create new tracks, and that gives me this. Okay. And all I've done is I've taken each section of the orchestra and I have made them into their own group. So for example, taken all the winds audio, and they're now in a folder called winds. The way my template in Logic, which I've posted on YouTube about like sort of how I built my template, works, is that all the various instruments in the orchestra are in their own little groups, and they sort of go out to their own instrument specific reverbs, and also out to a stem, so that if I ever need to print stems for something, I can easily grab just the winds and give it to somebody, or just the violin parts, or just the violin one part. I actually don't separate it that much, but just to say the high strings, and I can just have the audio for those. Obviously, StaffPad is a lot more granular. It gives you each instrument specifically, which is really nice. But in terms of like getting something ready, what I like to do is to put it into my template as if it were sort of already here in the MIDI. So I've got all the winds here. These are the ones that I have selected. And what I've done is they're all going out the bus in Logic that is set up as my wind stem winds print bus. Okay. Then for their reverb, it's the same reverb that is on all the winds, for my MIDI composition. So that's just it's a East West SoCal Hall winds reverb, right? And then I've just done that for all sections. The one thing that's a little bit different is if you look at my brass, you'll notice they have different reverbs, because there's a specific reverb for horns or for trumpets and trombones or for tuba in East West. And it really does make a difference to have those sort of correct ones put on the correct instruments. And it's really nice. They've got it all the impulses are set up for you in there. I actually have those tracks hidden. I was looking for them on stream. And I realized, oh, I have them hidden. They're actually right there. So, for example, here's the horns 1. So it's got no dry signal. The wet signal is almost all the way up. I'm pretty sure this is just its default state. And then I can send it through a bus and then put it on the tracks to the extent that I want to hear it. So I've just done that for every single family of instruments in the piece of music, and each stem I've moved to its corresponding family, and I've set up its corresponding output and its corresponding reverb. And then I have gone in and tweaked those reverbs so that there is just a little bit of that instrument-specific reverb, placing them in space. Okay, so that's all I've done to start with. The next thing that we did on stream was I didn't love the choir sounds in StaffPad, so I took the MIDI from way up here of all the choir, which is helpfully in the exact same order, in the exact same place. It's just right here. And all I've done is I've literally copied it. I just grabbed it and I said copy and then paste it. Sorry, I tried to follow me. Onto a different sample. So in this case, I've put them on East-West. See if I can find some choir here. Because I like that sound a little better. So going through all the same reverb, going through all the same effects, and then coming out the thing. Now, what I have not done and what I didn't show on stream was how I would then get, say I wanted, so I've got stems from StaffPad here, and I could give those to somebody if I so desired. What I would also do is I'd probably provide family stems, where I would go down to this Prince section, and I would go through and I would play the entire piece of music while recording on these, this set that are the prints, and then you would get nice prints of, all the high strings with all the reverb that I put on them, et cetera, for each family of the orchestra, so that you could have those if you so desired as well. Honestly, if I was working with someone super professional, I'd probably just give them the StaffPad stems and let them integrate them as they wished. So that's sort of my process of doing that. And one of the nice things is, as I mentioned, you get this nice, piano roll that you can then make a little piano roll video, which I will do. I'll make a piano roll video and we can listen to this piece as it plays through the piano roll, which is obviously a really lovely thing. Now, I also like to make score videos. So in addition to exporting MIDI and audio and stems, I will bring the music XML file, which when you first look at it is just an insane amount of gobbledygook if you're not a technical person. But the nice thing is you can drop that into Dorico. So I will take that and I'll put it into Dorico. Had an iLock break on me the other day, so still getting dumb windows about things while I get my licenses replaced. And you could just pull it right into Dorico. Now, on stream I did some massaging to this. For example, I got rid of any instrument that we weren't using so that I didn't have to worry about it cluttering up the piece. I dragged in another piece that has my sort of preferred layouts and other options set into it. So, I don't like to show a whole rest on empty bars for instruments that aren't playing, because it's just dots that clutter up the page. I like to have things like, measure numbers on every bar so that there is no confusion about where anybody is, so that everybody has, the correct measure numbers. If I was actually going to probably put this out, I'd probably do something like this. I'd grab one of these bars and I would go to the, where's the rehearsal marks? Is it here? No, it's here. No. rehearsal marks. You can put in rehearsal marks. I think it's like Control-Shift-R. Did that do it? No. You can put in rehearsal marks based on the bar numbers, etc. So, that's how I do that. Again, it's mostly just a matter of cleaning up the score. Like I said, getting rid of instruments that you're not using, checking to make sure the instruments are properly, the clefs, they're not being, written in tons of ledger lines. So I go through and just check the clefs. We were noting in the stream that some of my horn stuff comes out a little bit low and could probably use me changing to a different clef in parts of it. For example, here maybe. I check for ranges. I'm not sure why my glockenspiel is showing as out of range there. I'd have to go look up in my orchestration book exactly how glockenspiel works and how you're supposed to do it. My guess is I probably just, it's probably supposed to be written with this as a 8th VA clef, and then you just write it exactly the same as here, but whatever, we can worry about that later. That's the kind of thing that if I were going to have this recorded, I would go fix. I would go double check in Adler to make sure that it was all correct. But the nice thing is then you've got a score. So then you've got a score that the StaffPad score is fine, but it's not my favorite thing in the universe. If you look, did I actually export it? I didn't even export it this time because StaffPad is great for composition. As for like layout, score layout, it's not my favorite thing in the universe. So this just gives you a nice version of it that is a little bit easier to read. You can also do things like you can come in here and you could say, where's condensing? Where's condensing? I thought I'm using view. Let's look it up. We can all learn together. Condensing, it's under edit condensing. Okay, I could say edit condensing, and so what it will do is it will combine. And actually, if I did that, I could also probably do something like this without causing too much. Yeah, so you could make the staff a little bit bigger for the conductor, but put like clarinets 1 and 2 on the same staff. You can see it's got 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6 horns all set up for me nicely. How great is Dorico, by the way? Like these are not what I think is amazing about this, by the way, is that I didn't like this is just a music XML file. So these weren't created in Dorico as horns 1 through 6. It's just it brought in a bunch of staves called horn 1 through 6, and it was able to figure it out here, which, I mean, not everything has been able to do that for me in the past, so to see that is great. It does combine the violins 1 and 2, which I would probably go in and say don't condense violins 1 and 2. We don't need to have violins 1 and 2 on the same staff. It also, sort of exposes me as a kind of sort of lazy composer. We got a lot of unisons and octaves here, but that's, normal. Anyway, that's my process. I could then use this that's in front of me to make a score video, for example. This is how I make those score videos. And so, yeah, that's my process. And, now I've got a project in here. I can put all sorts of, mastering plugins on it for the whole, sound. I can mix everything here as I want. If there's a part where the horns are poking out, I can just go in, turn them down for just that little part, and move on with my life. So that is my process for doing that. Hopefully that's helpful for you. What's really nice about this is you can throw something like Isotope Insight on it and check your volumes. On Spotify, it's supposed to be -14 LUFS integrated, I think, for the whole track. So this allows you to get in there and really make sure that it's ready for Spotify, because StaffPad produces such great output already that oftentimes if you're making like a soundtrack, like if you put this all together and it's going to the game, you can then use this to produce your album in Spotify versions so that people can listen and it's all ready to go. So hopefully that's helpful. That's what I have to do. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that on the stream I had announced that the new album will be out soon. So I thought I would put that in here as well for everybody. The new album of string quartets that I have been working on for a very long time is called Vespers, and it will be out on May the 14th. So this is the album art. If you just want to listen to it on streaming, it will be on all streaming services. Additionally, if you buy it on Bandcamp, I have included this lovely PDF that includes liner notes and a full score for every track, all 6 tracks on the album, all nicely laid out in Dorico in much the same process that I just showed you. These are the actual scores that I used with the string quartets when we recorded. So these are what they worked off of. Minor variations. I when I record strings, I often don't include bowing, and I sort of work with them on the bowing during the session. So in this case, I have added the bowings that we sort of came up with, but for the most part, this is exactly what the musicians were reading when they recorded the album. It includes all the parts as well. If you are a member of a string quartet and would like to record any of these pieces of music, it's all here for you. So um, just wanted to make everybody aware of that. I'm terrible at self promotion, so I thought I would actually do a little bit. Vespers will be out May 14th. I'll probably put up a little trailer on the YouTube one of these days. So, in any case, hopefully that was a helpful video. Hopefully you're excited about the album. I certainly am. I think it's one of the first times I've put out an album on my own that is actually recorded and has live musicians on it. So it's really lovely to finally get that done and to finally have invested in that. So I'm really excited about it. I think it sounds really great. So we'll see you all around YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye.